So far we've had like our little games where our dude will, like all of the code that we're typing in, we're dividing it between draw and update, and we are like drawing all our frames, we're calculating all of our stuff, we're sometimes making decisions based on like different variables that have been knocked into the like below a certain threshold. Our timer ran out, so let's reset the timer and move the cloud to the other side of the screen and all that jazz. But how do we create a situation where like when the cloud gets to the end of the screen or the player presses a button, like we go into a completely different scene where like now all of a sudden we're simulating physics and there's like a bouncing ball, or like something's happening in the draw cycle that is like completely different than what we're doing here. Maybe we're pulling from the map and like just drawing on the screen, right? So like when you start a game, you have like a loading screen, and then you have like some kind of text, and then it drops you into the world, and then you like go around the world and you, I don't know, have a random encounter, and then it kicks you into the battle mode where you're everything is completely different, and the controls are different, and the input mean different things. And each one of those little like vertical slices of the game is a different state that the game is in. So we're gonna like put some state machines onto this little flipbook demo, and create like a little narrative, and that'll bring us to another aspect of tables, which is a table of functions. All right, so let me see. All right, so we're drawing the shadow, we're drawing the dude, we have our update call at the bottom of everything. A little bit sloppy because we have a dude dispenser over here, and then we have our draw shadow and draw dude over here. So I'm gonna like pull all of my dude functions into one place and then leave the update and draw down here. Yeah, let's move the draw and update and this stuff, everything that has to do with our game, into the second tab. So our 0 tab is flip books. So it's all of our wrong flip books and right flip books. The first tag is dude facts. So that's where we define our animations, all of the dude table, the dude dispenser, how to draw a shad for a dude, how to draw a dude. And over here we have like we're just actually dispensing a dude into the world. We're telling what the shadow, ground, and sky are, and then we're drawing a thing, and we're doing some kind of like update call. You might remember in an aside in one of the videos, like a little pop-up box that I put on the screen, I said that you could totally use like a function without a name. It looks like this, and that you could like feed it into a variable as a function without a name. But we can also create a table that contains a bunch of functions for us. So I'm going to call this states. I'm going to create another variable called state, and I want my start state at the beginning of the world to be 1. And then inside of this, I'm going to create a charger full of different states. And you will see how this is going to be handy. Okay, so it's going to be, I'm going to comment out the actual index value of this function. So I'm going to put a comment in line here with this that will tell me that this function here is index 1. And then I'm going to say that this one is index 2. This one's 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know how many states I need. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if we just have to be very mindful not to insert another function between these two, because then all of these numbers will change for us. We could forcefully like give each one of these an index like this, but it's a little redundant. And instead of that, we're just gonna keep our heads together and be very careful that each one of these functions like doesn't get duplicated in an awkward place. All right, so how does this work? We are going to use two different actually dispensers of states, because one is going to be our states update and the other one is going to be our states draw call. And so to begin with, I'm going to grab everything that's inside of our draw call, I'm going to extract it out, and I'm going to put it into states draw 1. So this is going to be the first state that we have in here, and it's going to contain all of the code that we have had in our draw call right now, and our draw call is empty. And similarly, I'm going to throw away Tim, and I'm going to copy all of the stuff from the update call. I'm going to make sure that I plop it inside of these states U for update number 1 function. So like right between this line and the end tag, so right here. So this part here is just a comment that's sitting in the same line as this opening function, and I placed all of this stuff between the end tag and the anonymous function, right? So this function does not have a name. Some name. This is where you would define a name if this function had a name, but this function doesn't have a name. It's just like one inside of a dispenser at the address number 1. So how do we call this function at the address number 1? Because we have to call it, and we're going to use this state to help us to be the variable that controls which one out of these two dispensers we are drawing and updating. And it's going to be as simple as this. In the draw, we're going to say states draw. So we're going to say reach into the states draw table at the state location and then execute whatever you find there. So that's the key. And so notice the weird parentheses and brackets that are at play here. We have these curly brackets over here that are wrapping all of our comma separated functions that are located inside. So this is 1, and then the second one is over here, and this is the third, and this is the fourth. And all of these rest of them are empty, but this one has something in it. And then we have the square brackets, which are letting us know, letting the program know that you need to descend into this table and at this address, and that is the value that contained in this variable here. And then we're going to execute whatever's in there. And then we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy this into the update. And then except for the D for draw, we're going to say U for update. And so now if we run this, we shouldn't see anything. It should just be the same thing we saw before. Except now we have two different states. So let's create like a little story here. On the second draw, and here, I'm going to print something on the screen. I'm going to clear the screen in black. I'm going to print some text in the middle of the screen. Let's call it print me. And it's going to be at the x of, I don't know, 4, y of 50, and make it in 10, yellow. And print me text is going to be, define it over here where I'm defining the skate ground. So print me is going to be once upon a time, Wolfgang compelled to go adventuring. Alright, so we print me as a variable. It says once upon a time Wolfgang's gone adventuring, and then we put it in the draw call for the second function right here. So we're going to change the state to number 2. So at the start of our world, state is going to be 2. Once upon a time Wolfgang was so it doesn't automatically fold the lines for us. We can write a function that does that, or we can just kind of like manually do line breaks in here. I know there's a way to do line breaks. By using a multi-line string. So you can use these square brackets instead of quotes to indent and like sort of like pre-format your text stuff. So I'm gonna do that. Once upon a time, Wolfgang was compelled to go adventuring. I think was compelled to go adventuring is gonna wrap awkwardly, so I'm gonna do this. And then this one, do it like that. Once upon a time, Wolfgang was compelled to go adventuring. ... If I make another, will it drop it a little bit lower? Yeah, it will. Cool. So, once upon a time, Wolfgang was compelled to go adventuring, and we can press all the buttons and nothing happens. And we want to make it so that when you press any button while this text is displayed on the screen, well, we're going to jump into the first frame where Hrozgo is marching around, but actually no. So yeah, our character is going to be the wolf, and therefore our dude is going to be 2, just like over here. Once upon a time, Wolfgang was compelled to go adventuring. Yeah, and then here in the second function, whatever runs together with the update call of our second state, it's going to be if button, any button. Does that work? Instead of being numbered for v, it is also supposed to be glyphed and could already use blah blah. If no parameter is supplied, returns a bit field of all 12 button states for player. So I'm just going to say if button, if it's like returning anything at all, then state is equal to 1, and this is all we need. So whoops, 0. There we go. Okay, so so button returns a bit field. Clearly, the bit field of all zeros is still a bit field. So if this is bigger than 0, it worked. Once upon a time, Wolfgang was compelled to go adventuring. So any button you press is going to jump into the next scene that we have.